everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hoops and Hers. I am your host and moderator, LaKisha KB Brooks. And we have a special guest with us today. Courtney is, well, fortunately and unfortunately not with us today. I say unfortunate because we absolutely love Courtney. We miss her. But fortunately for her, because she's on vacation and the beautiful I think she's in Hilton Head and Savannah right now. So, Courtney, we love you. We miss you. And we do have a wonderful special guest, Haley Moore. We will see her in a second. She will introduce herself. But before we get started, I want to show something really fast. So, I still need to hang this up. But this was something that I received from Courtney. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. It is hand drawn. It's very heavy. And I need to hang it up so that my wall doesn't look so bare. So Courtney, a beautiful artist, does an amazing job. Please make sure to follow her if you want her to do something like that for you. That was my birthday gift. Beautiful, great. I want to start off the show after I introduce our panelists, something that's very sad in the sports world. Well, before we do that, let me go ahead and bring my panelists back onto stage with me. And I'm going to start with Marie, Kina, and then Haley. So since everyone is being introduced to Haley, Haley, can you introduce yourself? Let everyone know who you are. And you may see more of this face a little later, but Haley, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Haley Moore. I am they mess with me, but I'm a young 25-year-old who I cover the WNBA primarily. I am in school right now for sports management, and I have a passion for basketball, passion for women's basketball more specifically.
Awesome. Well, welcome. As you see, Courtney's not here, and Haley is joining us today. We kind of clowned her a little bit with her lighting, says she looked like a Ninja Turtle in the sewer, but she looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't she? She looks great. Hi, Courtney. It's another Courtney. Saying, KB Brooks, how are you? I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait for our other followers to join us soon. Now, as I mentioned, after I introduced you all, I want to talk about something sad that happened, and I think connected to sports, and that was the passing of Hayden Panettiere. And I wanted to share this picture because it's the first time that I saw her gracing our televisions. She was on a SVU episode around the same time, but this was the first time that I ever saw this spunky little girl. She was a little tomboy, wanted to be alongside her dad, reminded me a lot of myself, wanted to always go to the football games with my dad. I still do to this day. And we heard about the tragic passing of Hayden. And so I just wanted to take a moment to talk about Hayden and just kind of get you all's thoughts on Hayden Panettiere. Again, being in Rim of the Titans. Also was in a cheer movie, Bring It On. I think it was All or Nothing with Solange Knowles. Anne-Marie, did you watch any of Hayden's movies? Any thoughts?
I did. I mean, I loved Remember the Titans. I think, growing up in sports, I was a tomboy too. I don't know how many sports I played, but I think just seeing her grow up, she's always been an advocate for women and kind of being a little bit different. And I think like she lets young girls know, be comfortable being who you are, even if that's not, the girl playing with the Barbies, like in this movie. So I think she did a lot, for the community and for young women, and super sad to hear about her passing. As we know, she was an advocate a lot for mental health and was dealing with postpartum and other things in her life that she spoke up with that sometimes we don't get to hear about in celebrities' lives. So very appreciative for her and the role model that she was.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts? Haley, Kina?
Yeah, I mean, she was great, especially in this movie. This is a movie I'll never forget her being in, because she was that spunky girl. She didn't care about nothing else but W's, and she just wanted to be there and be a part of it. And I know that as an adult, she's struggled with a lot of different things. Like Anne-Marie mentioned, postpartum. She lost her brother not too long ago, so I know she's been struggling, and it's really sad. But I do hope she's no longer in pain.
Yeah, honestly, I've seen the movies. I've seen her in multiple movies. also hits a little closer to home because I am in South Carolina, about 15, 20 minutes from where she was staying. And so like the city felt it a little.
Mm. Wow. How was it there being in that area?
Well, so I EMT in the area. And so like hearing things here and there. We don't know the full story of everything. But like you guys mentioned, I hope that she's no longer in pain.
Wow. And I knew you were in South Carolina, but I didn't know that it was so close to that area. So thank you for sharing that with us. So now we will switch over, talk about something that I think that a lot of us were excited to hear, and that's about Diana Taurasi and her jersey being retired, and just what she means to women's basketball. The Ring of Honor. We actually have one of our broadcasters and one of our journalists that was actually there to cover the entire thing, and she actually wrote this beautiful article on it. So if you have a chance to check that out, she did a beautiful article that talks about this, and she actually shares a lot of stories about Diana, because she shared with us that Diana was someone that motivated her to continue to be in journalism and to be in the broadcasting and journalism area. So Diana Taurasi is so much to so many people in basketball. I know we've talked a lot about her in previous shows, going to Russia, having the opportunity to make 7 figures before it was even a thought for women's basketball players, decided to continue to be here in the United States so that she can continue what they were trying to build in the WNBA. And now I just want to switch gears to talk to my panelists about Diana and just kind of what she meant and means to women's basketball. I'm going to start with you, Anne-Marie, as someone who's a fellow professional basketball player. What is Diana Taurasi's legacy?
Well, I mean, I think when you just say Diana Taurasi's name, people know who that is. They know the fire that comes with her. I think she has really just someone who's been authentically herself, regardless of what people think. I think she's someone that she's going to come out. She's going to play hard as heck. She's going to talk some crap, but she can always back it up. And, I think she's just someone that has a lot of swag. As we know, she had a 20-year career in the WNBA. She leads the WNBA in scoring with over 10,000 points. But not only that, as you mentioned, she is one of the players that really started making high dollar figures overseas. She was across playing for ECAT in Russia, doing really, really well. And I think she's just set the bar. You can be yourself. You don't have to always be sweet. You can be competitive. You can be a go-getter. You can be edgy. Women can be just as competitive as men. And I think she's really shown that and just kind of paved a way in women's sports.
Absolutely. Everything you said was spot on. Kina, Haley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to me, DT's legacy is simple. She is the standard. Anytime you say her name, you know who she is. Like Anne-Marie said, she's the all-time leading scorer in the W, over 10,000 points. She's all-time leader in 3. She has 3 championships, 2 final MVPs, MVP, 11 all-star selections, and 6 gold medals. There was really nothing left for her to do. But what honestly stood out to me about this ceremony and that speaks to her legacy is the people that showed up for her, whether they were there in the arena or sent a tribute. You had like BG was there, Cheryl Swoops, Michael Phelps was there. We know Michael Phelps is a legend. He was there, and Devin Booker was there. They also had tributes by Sue Bird, Lisa Leslie, Paige Beckers, LeBron, everybody. So it shows that, legends and current superstars are showing up for you because they know exactly who you are and what you meant to the game. So if you don't know about DT, I don't know what to tell you.
I agree.
No, yeah, it's exactly what you guys are saying. 10,000 plus points, the championships. My biggest thing for DT is in her legacy is her longevity. You have a player who played 20 years with the same team, and it doesn't matter how much you debate or want to debate on where Diana Taurasi sits in the greatest of all time conversation. You just cannot talk about the history of this league without mentioning her. And I think that's a big piece. And that's going to continue to go on generation after generation because DT was a big part of the W.
Yeah. Speaking of generation after generation, what is her impact on the league? We've talked about, of course, her basically sacrificing and saying, I am going to come back to the W. I'm going to continue to grow this versus a life in Russia and overseas. Well, I can just live like a queen. If you think about the impact of in that time, I want us to also think about what is the impact that she's going to have for future generations. And Haley, since you kind of talked about generation after generation, what are your thoughts on her impact on the league?
I believe that she bridged, the early WNBA with, what today's growth is. Again, the longevity of just playing shows that, shows other athletes coming in, younger athletes, that you can stick with one team. You can, play and have that passion for a very long time. I mean, on top of just the W, but like her Team USA experience and the influence beyond just the WNBA, I think is a big thing, and I think it impacts everybody else coming into the W in the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Do you think we'll see somebody playing 20 years for one team again in the W, Haley?
One team, I don't know for sure. One team. And now, yes, I think we were. Who's the closest? Is it DB? I think she might be the closest in terms of years currently playing. So I think we'll get a bunch of players that could potentially play that long. I don't know for one team though. You don't see that a lot. I mean, you don't even see it a lot in the NBA also. So
that's true.
So yeah, we'll get players to play for a while.
Kina and Marie.
Like Haley said, she's a direct bridge between the then and the now. Back when the league was still fighting for relevance, she was there. Now she retires as the game's all-time leading scorer. So every young star that we sit here and we talk about Caitlin, we talk about Olivia, we talk about AZ, we talk about Angel and Paige. They're playing in a league that Diana helped build. So her legacy, her impact on the league is just going to be undeniable. I know Paige is a huge fan. She still talks about DT. So it's just that these girls playing now watched her play in this league and they were growing up wanting to be like her. So I think her impact on the league is just going to be a reminder that everything that we're covering and celebrating right now on this show stands on a foundation that she helped lay.
Oh, I love that you said that. Like a lot of the reason why we're all here is because of players like Diana that were able to have a platform. And I know, Kina, you and I are definitely in her age range.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So I think you guys may be the same age, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So yeah, we're right there with her. We kind of grew up with her. And so it's really great to see kind of where we were as kids watching the W and then watching her play and where we are now as two ladies in our 40s that are able to have this platform. So I think that's a great message. And a lot of point that I think a lot of people don't think about is that now we have so many platforms like Hoops and Hers and others because of players like Diana in previous generations. Great point. Anne Marie.
I mean, I completely agree. I think she's had a massive impact. What I love about Diana Taurasi, and I'm not sure if everyone watched her being recognized, but what I love about her is her sense of humor and also her relationships. Not only has she been someone who's authentically herself, a go-getter, killer instincts, very competitive. I even remember seeing that technical early on in her career where her and Simone Augustus got into it and she just gave her a cheek kiss. And the ref was looking, she's like, what did I do? Why are you giving me a tech? But I just think she's one of those players that's like always herself. And even in the heat of the moment, there's kind of a little bit of that sense of humor. And just seeing all her former teammates come out and support her. I think, her dominance at UConn and continuing into a 20-year career in the WNBA just speaks links of the hard work, the determination, and playing at that age is really tough on your body. So, I mean, she's just a competitor that's paved the way and show that, you don't have to be sweet on the court. You can talk and say what you want, back it up, and still have friends and lasting relationships. So I think what she's done in women's basketball is something that will be really tough to take away.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Did anyone else watch the ceremony?
I watched a little bit of it. It was long, but it was, but the thing is, like with everyone that, had a tribute or whether they're all so short because it was so many people that wanted to honor her. And I thought that was very cool.
That's beautiful. Haley, did you watch it?
I did not. I did not.
That's okay. You're busy covering other.
I was about to say my life covering basketball, covering sports in general. Yeah, is kind of hectic right now.
Yeah, I remember when I decided that I want to do this sports journalism thing full time. It was like a year ago. And one of the first pieces I put together was on Diana Taurasi. I was just so in awe of her. I just absolutely, she's like one of my favorite players, if not like Cynthia Cooper, DT. Like they're kind of right there for me. And watching her play. And then I keep talking about watch it, please watch it. And just watching her wanting to play. She had to actually move back to, I think, I'm not sure what country, because, her parents are actually immigrants, and they moved her back, and she wasn't able to play basketball, and she was absolutely miserable for that time period. And her parents were like, well, it's best for us to be back here, but it wasn't better for Diana. So they believed in her. They knew that she was going to be a star. So they made the sacrifice to move back for her in her basketball career. And again, as somebody that was a tomboy, I never wore my hair down. So to watch Diana in that ponytail, like, girl, that was me. I had a little bang going on, but it was just like, I had a side bang. Diana didn't have any bang, but I had like a side bang going on, but I had that ponytail going on too. It was just really great to watch her. And it's like, if anybody played basketball and I was a tomboy too, it was like watching yourself and watching that documentary as well. So any last minute thoughts about DT before we talk about a group of amazing other women basketball players?
I was just going to mention, just because I thought it was really sweet, the moment she shared, just kind of thanking her dad and her mom for the sacrifice they made. And, when you grow up like Diana Taurasi, some of those, you wonder if some of those hard work and like those characteristics are instilled in her, because she spoke about her dad working at a metal sheet factory for 50 years. Mm-hmm. And he went every morning at like 4 something in the morning to miss traffic. He'd get there, take a nap in his car, then he'd head into work. But I think just hearing, so many people, and just like she was speaking to, people do work hard. Immigrants do come over here and work hard. And there's been a lot of topics on that. So I think also just like hearing her story and seeing it, that they came from Argentina. They've been working hard. He sacrificed for his daughter to play sports, and now she's known as one of the greatest ever. So I think it's just like hats off also to parents who support their kids no matter what. And you have to sacrifice a lot in order for your kids to be successful. So
absolutely. We love girl dads. Hashtag girl dads. All right. And as mentioned, we're going to talk about 3 other absolutely amazing basketball players. And we just saw the Basketball Hall of Fame ceremony. And this is just a picture of Candace Parker. She was there along with, of course, those in the NBA and a couple of male coaches as well. But there was also Elena Deladon, of course, Candace Parker, Shamiqua Holtzclaw, were all there and recognized for what they've done in basketball. And I know she had a couple of jokes about switching teams or whatever, literally, or whatever she said. I know that I was like, did she really say that? But Candace Parker is also one of my faves. Again, if you haven't watched her documentary, watch it. As you see, I watch a lot of sports documentaries. I encourage you to watch hers as well. It was on ESPN. Really great piece talking about her life growing up in Chicago, and then all the things that happened at Tennessee, and then, of course, in her WNBA career. And now it's time for me to switch gears and, of course, talk to my panelists about not just Candace Parker, but also the others that were inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. So I'll start with Anne Marie. She just gave me a little smile, what are your best memories of the 3 of these ladies? If you can come up with one for each of them, what would be your greatest memory for each of them?
Okay. We'll try not to take too much time. But first of all, I love Elena Deladon. I just love the position she plays. I think she's a stretch. She can do everything. My favorite thing about her, I would say, was the year that she won MVP of the finals, won the championship. And she was the first women's player to ever record shooting over, let me get this right, 40% from the 3-point line, 50% from the floor, and 90% from the free throw line. And then something to just mention, which is insane, is that she only missed 5 free throws that season. I believe she was 186 for 191, shooting almost 97% from the line. So I think just her skill set alone in that season, bringing a championship Moving on to Shamik Holesclaw. I mean, I think she's someone that came into the league and she led the WNBA in scoring. She also was one of the second players to record, I believe, a 20-point, 20-plus rebound game. Just very skilled, can defend, can play on the offensive end, and she led the WNBA in that season. So I just think seeing now more of these players that can put up these large rebounds, she's someone who came into the league and did that initially. And then last but definitely not least, Candace Parker. I mean, what's not to be said about her? She's kind of, to me, similar to Delle Donne and just how big of an offensive threat she is. We know that Candace Parker was the second woman to dunk, and then she was the first woman to dunk in back-to-back games. She has just done so much for women's basketball, from her success playing for the Tennessee Bulls under Pat Summitt to her career being the first draft pick for the Los Angeles Sparks. And just great to see these players getting their flowers and the recognition that they deserve for their talent and the people that they are.
Beautifully said. Wow. All right. Who wants to follow that? Haley's like, I'm up for the challenge. I got it.
That was absolutely great. I think for Elena Delle Donne, my biggest thing would have to be, the 2019 season with the championship, the MVP, and like you mentioned, her size. She was uniquely gifted in a way that she shouldn't have been for her size. So I think that was a big thing. For Candace, I'm gonna leave Candace for the last one. But for Shamik Holesclaw, I believe that like her memory is bigger than just one game or just what she did on the court, because she was that stardom before today's visibility came along. And so I think she holds, like you mentioned, the dynasties, the rookie of the years, all of that. She was that big star. Now, Candace, I grew up wanting, I believe it was the Crazy Eights that she had put out with Adidas. I absolutely wanted those Crazy Eights. I was a big Candace fan. But similar to Elena Delle Donne, Candace's size, she should, like, when you look at her, she shouldn't have been, been able to handle the ball the way she did. She wasn't able, or she shouldn't have been able to, move the way she did, but she could. And so it was kind of like another unicorn in the league. And so I feel like those are all my best memories for all three of them.
Okay. And I love to hear that as someone who's a little younger, kind of what your memory was versus a little of us that are a little more seasoned. I love that. All right, Kina, you're white being seasoned, honey. What are some of our best memories?
So for EDD, it was just like Haley just mentioned, that 2019 finals. Like, she played in pain the entire time and was still able to get the job done. But on top of that, something that has nothing to do with basketball, I watched her Hall of Fame speech, and for her to talk about her sister in the way that she talked about her sister Lizzie, born both blind and deaf, and she said she's never met anyone stronger than her. Like, she's never received a standing ovation, never got interviewed after a big win, and she's still the strongest person that she knows. And I thought that was really cool for her to speak on her sister in that way. So that just shows the type of person that she is. As far as Shamik, leading Tennessee to 3 straight national titles. I mean, they had that undefeated season. She was a walking mismatch as a freshman in 96. So just being able to see her, and as I am a seasoned woman, I did watch her play and being able to watch her do amazing things. And at the time I was playing basketball. So it was good to have someone to look up to like that. So I thought that was, for her, that was my best memory of her, just those 3 titles. Tennessee was not to be played with back in the day. And then as far as Candace, I mean, her being the only player in WNBA history to win MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same season. I mean, you can't speak on her without knowing that and without seeing what an amazing player she was, dunking in a game. I mean, Candace is just really another person that is part of a blueprint of the WNBA. So I know we've talked about another rookie may be able to do that this season, but we'll see if that actually happens.
You know, I thought about that as soon as you said that. I was like, oh, is there going to be somebody else to do that? And I want to speak to something that we all are talking about, and that's the Tennessee Vols. I know that right now Tennessee is not what it used to be, but for those that are a little younger, and I know not Haley because she knows this, but those that are a little younger, let me just tell you, Tennessee they were the standard. I mean, Coach Pat Summitt has a book on leadership. She was the standard of coaching. Her teams were disciplined, polished. That's why you see two of these young ladies here. Where do they go? Tennessee. So I want everybody to do a little history. I remember writing an article, way back when. Oh gosh, way back. And at that time, Tennessee was still dominating, and so was UConn. And I wrote an article, who is the best program? I know a lot of people think right now, oh, UConn is better, or even now South Carolina or other programs like that. But before any of that kind of stuff, you had Pat Summitt and the Tennessee Vols. So any last minute thoughts, ladies, before we switch gears?
Well, to add on to that, I spent the whole month of February in Nashville for the AU season, and I drove out to Knoxville a few times to see some of the games and stuff like that. And so it was like, her legacy still holds true in Knoxville. Regardless on how the actual team was doing this season, those fans still showed up. They still showed up. You know, they're still fighting for a W team there. They want to name it the Summit. And so her legacy still holds true.
I love that. That'd be what, the Knoxville or the Tennessee Summits? Which one?
I think they were looking at Tennessee Summit is what they were looking at.
Oh, how do we like that name? I actually like that.
And I think they were trying to keep it with that blue, that like powder blue is what they were looking at.
No orange, please. Tennessee orange.
Oh, aren't you a bull? Oh, she's a bulldog, my bad. A bulldog.
No orange.
No, but Tennessee definitely, I mean, they've always been a high caliber team. I think they've been consecutive in the NCAA for like 44 years, which in its alone is just crazy history. Obviously, we know they're rebuilding this season, but the legacy and what Tennessee is known for will always stand with the greats. And I think once they get a good coach, and I mean, you know, transfer portal, NIL stuff, that throws a whole nother dynamic in right now that I think is really tough on coaches, of having consistency, being able to have the time to develop and make players better. But Tennessee will get back on the charts and be where they want to be. It's just going to take a little time.
Yeah, you're right about that. The landscape has changed tremendously in college sports just across. We saw it a lot in football. Now we're seeing a lot in college basketball in ways that we haven't seen before. So now another topic. This beautiful young lady here, Stephanie White. Man, she's gotten a lot of flack recently in the news. And of course, we're going to talk about their win they just had over the Dream. But before we talk about that, Fever head coach Stephanie White opened up her pregame press conference on August 11th with a very lengthy statement condemning hate, fear-mongering, divisiveness. She says it's that things that are doing this are hijacking the WNBA. The statement included profanity. She was banging the table. It was a lot of emotions with this statement that she made. And a lot of people were left asking questions, more so than when she came in there. This led to her being booed, and she had to be defended by her players as well, because, of course, they felt a certain way about their coach being booed. But it was probably not the best time for Stephanie White. But this is definitely something that we want to discuss. And ladies, with that, I want to ask you all, what are your thoughts on Stephanie White's comments and her action while banging the table to talk about what's happening in the WNBA? Kina, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, what she was talking about, I totally agree with. I mean, this is really what's happening in the W. We're not talking about basketball anymore. But the hard part about it is when it comes to why we're talking about it, it's because of that team. And I hate it. So I think she was just stressed out. She got booed. She's dealing with backlash over that Caitlin Clark hard foul situation. She was defending DeJournette's ejection, which I think she did walk back. And I have some comments there, but we're going to keep going. So at some point, a person is allowed to reach their breaking point. So I get why she did what she did. I don't mind the banging on the table. I don't mind the profanity. She's human. She was upset. She's been dealing with a lot, to me, since she's been in Indiana. My only issue is, as a coach, as a player, your job is to answer media questions, period. So for her to just not take any questions afterward, that felt a little bit unfair and unnecessary, because a lot of people, like you said, had questions about her display of her emotions. So I feel like media would have had questions about, okay, so with what you're saying, what's the next step? What do we do here? Or why did you say what you said? So for me, I feel like, it's your job. She should have answered questions after that.
Yeah. And I do want you, if you're comfortable, to share your thoughts on, she's like, of course, I am so ready. What are your thoughts on that? Because you said there was some just retractions or backsliding of what was said. What were your thoughts on that? And for people that don't know what was said, what was then retracted, and then what are your thoughts? Just so people know context of what you're saying.
So Stephanie felt like when she first, after that game, she said, I know she would never do DeJournette wouldn't do anything intentional. She didn't. It was just a foul, blah, blah, blah. So then she walks it back and said, after she looked at it, it was egregious and it was unnecessary. So, for me, I feel like she got a talking to and had to go back and walk it back. She was DeJournette's coach. So she knows her, and she knows that she did not purposely foul Sophie the way that she did. So I feel like, you say one thing, you see it live. I think you saw replays as well before you made the statement that you don't think she did it on purpose. And then for you to walk it back the next presser was just kind of weird to me.
Good point. Good point. Anne Marie, what are your thoughts on Stephanie's comments and actions?
Well, as Kina mentioned, I think a lot of the issues that have been brought up, especially this year around race or fans using words and derogatory terms, I think a lot of that has stemmed from the Fever. So I'm sure Stephanie White is also feeling pressure. Not only do you have a fan base that's very opinionated and very involved, you also are trying to protect your players. You're also trying to maintain things, like she's mentioned, like trying to keep racism out, making sure there's inclusivity. It's becoming too much of a topic that's taking away from the game of basketball. At the end of the day, everyone's here to play basketball and not focusing on the success or the losses and only looking at race and things. It's taking away from what the sport is meant to be. I think her delivery, obviously, is an emotional delivery. You can tell that she's frustrated. I mean, at the end of the day, she's a head coach on a team where there's a lot of stuff going on in the background and fans as well. So I think she's been frustrated. I also think frustration might stem from she feels like she has to speak, why is no one from the league speaking up? I do commend her for what she said and trying to take action to let fans know where she's coming from. She said she's 10 toes down with her players. Her players know that. So for fans to be, I think people were asking, can she be fired? Let's fire Stephanie White. She didn't have Sophie Cunningham's back. She also has a history with DeJournette Carrington at the Connecticut Sun. So, I think she was trying to see it in the best light. What exactly happened? I mean, we all really don't know if it was intentional or not, but DeJournette is known for rundown blocks. So I think it just took a turn for the worse. And unfortunately, right now, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham are in the middle of a lot of discussions, and Stephanie White, as a coach, has a lot of pressure on her.
Good point. Haley, she's been burning to talk about this.
I was like, KB's gonna call me first. I'm ready. No, honestly, I don't have an issue with the emotion. The banging on the table, I don't have an issue with that. The question becomes, like, was the message to protect her locker room, or did it cause more of a distraction? I totally agree that, people are attaching themselves to that team or to women's basketball with their, own political reasons. And so the emotion's fine. Banging on the table's fine. maybe not the right messenger to say the message. It needed to be said, but maybe not the right messenger.
I feel like Haley wants to say more, but she's trying to behave. That's what she's trying.
I'm trying to be politically correct.
I do like at least that it was Stephanie White and not the person that no one's ever seen before to the side that takes out their thing and starts reading, because that's another thing that happened recently that was also like, ma'am, we don't know who you are, and you're just reading a blanket 2-sentence that actually has no clarity at all. So thank you. So I do agree with you. It probably wasn't Stephanie White either, but I do think the leaders and people that should be speaking up that are more in the WNBA, it's cricket. So unfortunately, some people, if you feel strongly about it, you kind of have to speak up on your own, or it's something that might not be addressed fully.
I believe that I was more surprised. Oh, I wasn't surprised about the backtrack. I think I was more surprised about standing up for Dejanay in the first place, because Alyssa Thomas didn't get that courtesy. So yeah, I was a little bit more surprised just about the initial standing up for Dejanay, because past experiences.
That's fair. That's fair. That emotions happened, and especially when you are hearing and facing a lot of this. Your team is facing a lot of this, despite whatever side of the spectrum they fall on. The people on your team, not everyone, but some people on your team are facing this stuff. So it's a buildup. It's we're all human. I think a lot of times we look at athletes and coaches and we expect them to be these superheroes or to not have emotions and whatnot. But just like you and I, they have emotions, and after a while, it bowls over, and that's what we saw. But I've heard a lot of our panelists say, not just this show, but other show, about who should not be the messenger for certain messages. So we've been talking a lot about whether it's divisiveness or just racial comments, and we've been seeing this throughout the league. And now I'm going to challenge you all. I know who maybe we said a few people who should not maybe be the messenger of some of this stuff. So Haley, I'm going to start with you. Who would be the ideal person to, everyone's going to be asked this question, Haley, you're just going to be first. Who should be the ideal person to speak on these issues or to ask those tough questions? Who should it be?
Kathy has got to step up. Kathy has got to step up. She has got to speak out. You have Adam Silver in her ear behind the scenes, and it's like, leadership of the whole league, not just a one team. Leadership of the whole league needs to stand up and say something. Kathy has got to speak out, and I don't mean these little statements that they keep putting out. We had the whole no hate, campaign that they did, or they started like 2 years ago. Get out in front of a podium. Don't blame it on how your family is also receiving hate. If your family is receiving hate, imagine what the players are feeling. Imagine what, the other teams are feeling. Put out a statement. It has to stop. Not just to protect you, but to protect everybody.
I love it. And for those that don't know, she's talking about Commissioner when she says Kathy. And Marie, Kina, who should be this messenger?
Kathy. I do believe that Kathy needs to. I agree with Haley 100%. And I do feel like she has Adam in her ear. And, like I've mentioned before, he really needs to stay out of women's business. And we really need to figure out what's going on over here, because nothing's changing. To me, it's getting worse. You put out blanket statements that don't mean anything and have no emotion behind it, and nothing is changing. And it's getting worse. And I know it's also the world that we live in right now is a disaster. So people feel free to say whatever they want to, because there's no consequences. But something has to change, because these ladies are being just drugged through the mud. They're receiving messages of hate, and it's just unfair. There's people at the games saying harsh things. There's people that have to get escorted out of courtside. You paid all this money to sit here and say rude things to players, and it's just not stopping. Nothing is changing.
Yeah, we saw something that happened at the Dream game. There was a statement that came out, and this game was recent. So we're constantly seeing these issues happening over and over and over again. And my thoughts, if you're courtside, or it doesn't matter how much you pay for the ticket, but at State Farm, clearly it's higher. Why would you risk it to be escorted out? I don't know, maybe because I'm just not the person. I wouldn't do anything like that. But Anne Marie, I don't know if we're going to go for three for this, but who would be the ideal messenger for these topics?
I think obviously Kathy, but at this point, I don't know if we can expect anything from Kathy. So I think my expectation is a little bit on the floor. Anything that comes out from the WNBA, it leaves you almost more confused reading it, trying to figure out what was the point of the message, because it's so general, it's broad. But honestly, I honestly feel like at some point, management, ownership of individual teams, you also have a voice as a CEO, as an owner, as a general manager. And I do feel like at some point, some of these people in those positions need to speak up. Head coaches, they're already under enough scrutiny. They're not putting the right players in. They don't know how to manage minutes. Blah, blah, needs the rest. They're already getting all these unsolicited opinions just being a head coach. And better yet, of the Indiana Fever, you're getting even more opinions. So I really think that where Kathy Engelbert should be the person that's using her leadership. She's the head of the WNBA. She's not. So then where do we go? I think at that point, you've got to look to management of individual teams who are seeing that there's a lack of response and responsibility and accountability from the league, and that they're willing to take on that to make sure that this is an environment that all players can continue to thrive in.
Yeah, so it seems like it's accountability across the board. There's a lot of people who have a hand and, of course, causing this, but there's also a lot of people that have a hand and that can make this better. And I've stressed many times, performative action is never acceptable. It never works. So we want to go beyond statements. And you all know how I feel about statements, having to talk about many of them for 2 years, working in DEI, but we want to see some type of action. Because we cannot continue to have. Now, I will agree with Stephanie that I do believe that WNBA is getting hijacked, because it is getting hijacked with a lot of this stuff, to the point where it's like you go, and we cover so many other sports where it's just not an issue. You don't hear those things. And I would love to be able to cover the WNBA on the same level and not have to also report on these type of things, but it happens. So as a journalist and as media as we are, we also can't sweep them under the rug and act like they don't exist. So if we go back to Stephanie White, and of course we all agree that her emotions justified, right? Banging the table, we don't mind that. Of course, maybe the messenger and some of the message could have been changed, or even taking some accountability and letting people ask questions. But the next question that I have is about her team. Will this help or hurt her team going forward? Now, they did just have a big win, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But in the long term, do we believe that this is going to hurt or help her team? Kina, what are your thoughts?
I mean, in the locker room, it helps. I mean, she has players that see that, oh, well, she's standing 10 toes down for me, so it works. But like I said before, when it comes to her fan base, they're just going to be mad at her for saying things about what they're doing wrong. So I think it hurts that part, just at least short term, until we can get this under control. Like I said, she got booed before the game even started, which tell you that this didn't land well with those fans. And I'm not speaking on every one of the Fever fans. People have to understand that it's not every fan of the Fever that is the issue, but it's a bulk. So I don't know. I hope it helps, but to me, I don't think it does anything, but it does help her players know that their coach is standing up for them, which some players never see.
Very true.
I totally agree. I think it helps in the locker room, in my opinion. I think having a coach that advocates for you, I think that goes a long way. And Stephanie White speaking up and trying to, make it more about basketball and less about these political issues that have kind of become the forefront of conversations in the WNBA right now. I think that gains respect for her in the locker room. But what comes with that is probably more dislike from the fans and from the people that are yelling at you from the stands. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing to win is, players. How are the players getting along? Is there a good relationship between players and coach? And I think Stephanie White did what she thought she needed to advocate and to at least do what she could do to show accountability and responsibility and sharing her voice on these topics.
Awesome. Before we go to Haley, hey, Anthony, we were waiting for you. Thank you so much for joining. We missed you for like the first 45 minutes. So he does say White doesn't take responsibility for creating some of the division. Don't blame the fans for calling her out. Okay. So thank you for sharing that, Anthony. Haley, we just wanted to introduce you to Anthony. He comes on every week, and we absolutely enjoy and welcome him being here with us. So Haley, what are your thoughts?
I feel like her statements are going to do either two things. They're either going to turn the Fever into the team-wise into a us against them. And that has fueled, the Aces in previous years. That can fuel the Fever this year. But at the same time, it can also become an us against them. And it's going to cause more of a distraction. More answers are going to be demanded from her, from the team. And so I feel like both. It could help or hurt the team depending on how the players and the coaching staff react to it. I mean, bottom line, I feel like if I were them, I would use it as fuel. Get back to basketball.
Okay. Get back to basketball. I mean, I don't think I would mind us versus the world mentality. I actually think it would fuel me personally as an athlete, but everybody's different. Like you said, some teams have used it. I don't know. For me, I'd be like, all right, let's get it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, teams have used it before. I don't think that's ever going to be a bad thing. I mean, we've seen it in the NBA. We've seen it in the WNBA. We've seen it in football. We've seen it everywhere. That mentality can fuel a team to a championship. You look at a team that might not have had the talent or might not have had what's the word? They might not have been together completely. Something like this can pull them all together. And I think if they use it correctly, this is something that could pull the Fever together.
I agree. I concur with that. All right. Awesome. Speaking of the Fever, they just had a game against the Atlanta Dream. And a few of us were actually at that game. Anne-Marie, were you at the game? Did you make that game?
I had a game myself in my league, so I didn't go. I know. I'd
love to hear that you were at your game because we're going to come and support you because guess where? Haley's also in Atlanta. So you're going to have a big old pep squad when we come to one of your games with signs and everything. It's going to be big.
She says in Atlanta, I just travel there all the time.
She's here. I mean, her daddy.
I'm literally there like maybe 2 to 3 times a week.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
Yeah. So the Atlanta Dream had a game. Haley and I were actually at the game. And the Fever won in overtime, 95-91. And the Atlanta Dream had multiple opportunities to win that game, but there was some missed layups at the rim, which took the game to overtime. And that's when the Indiana Fever took over and took the win. And I do see some faces now. Haley, we are an unbiased broadcast, so put that smile on your face. But I will ask for the purposes of conversation, because just so the audience knows, I sent a text to everyone and said, oh, we have to talk about this because there's so many losses that happened, but this particular one, this was on ESPN. I think they even talked about it maybe on First Take. I'm not sure, but it was a lot of people talking about it. And so I said, well, of course, come on now. The ladies of Hoops and Herds also has to talk about this topic. And so the question that I have is, did the Dream lose it or did the Fever, did they take it? And I'm going to wait for Haley to be last because she was actually in the audience. So her thoughts on it may be a little different, So I'm going to ask two people that were not at the game. Kina, I'll start with you. Was this game taken or did the Dream lose it?
This game was gift wrapped with a bow and handed over to the Fever. That's how I feel about this game. I mean, Atlanta led 72-64 after the third quarter, and it only scored 9 points in the fourth. So it's just there was a lot of turnovers. There was 14 turnovers that Indiana turned into 22 points. Atlanta was without their floor general, which I feel like did play a huge role. Like Jordan not playing didn't help. Bree Jones not playing did not help either, because then Carl has to go to his bench, and sometimes the bench isn't producing what he needs. Now, Alicia Gray played amazing. She had 32 points, but her last bucket was there was like 6 minutes left in the fourth. She set out with foul trouble. She went 11 for 24. Then we get into Angel. Now, look, people know how I feel about Angel, but as a fan and as a former athlete myself, I'm able to talk about my favorite players and talk about what they could have done differently. She went 5 of 16 from the field with 4 turnovers. She told Holly that she was playing like you know what. So she understood that. And I felt like I did see a change in her in the second half. But that layup at the end, yes, people are saying that she got fouled by AB, which she did, but I really felt like she could have made that shot. Then Nas got that rebound, another layup missed. So it was just, and I don't like how people want to blame it on one person. This is a team sport. And if everybody would have played great the whole game, there would have been no overtime. I knew when it went into overtime that there was going to be a problem. So for me, they just, gave them an early gift.
Okay. And Marie, what are your thoughts?
I mean, to me, I think the Dream just gave it away. I think they lost it. I think their opportunities. I mean, obviously, we all saw the replay at the end where Angel had the rebound, offensive rebound went up. No foul was called, whether it was a foul or not, but it was a great opportunity to look. And then Nas Hillman got the offensive rebound miss. So in my opinion, I think there were opportunities on the table for the Dream, and I think they lost it. But we can't put it all on Angel Reese. I mean, she had 14 rebounds. She's been playing really, really well. I mean, she's been the top scorer for the Dream against the Aces with 23 points. She's shown that she can do it. Unfortunately, this game, she missed a few bunnies. But for me, we also need consistency from the guards. Ryan Howard shot 4 of 13 from the floor, had another tough night. And for me, we really got to see consistency. Dream needs consistency in their guards. And unfortunately, I think they just lost it, and Indiana pulled through in the clutch and took the opportunity in overtime.
Well, we don't say enough about Kelsey Mitchell and that 3 that she hit to tie that game. It was just, I was just sitting there, and I'm sitting next to Raphael, who is another journalist, and we were like, whoa. I think I posted like, Kelsey Mitchell is always clutch. So we don't want to take away from any of that as well. And so, Haley, you were there at the game. You were like 7 people down for me at the game. What were your thoughts?
I think we should add one more to our question. Did the Dream lose it? The Fever took it, or did the refs also have a play in this? And wait. I believe it's a combination of all 3. The Dream did kind of lose it because the offense goes stagnant. We've seen this season. I'm in the middle of writing a whole article about this. They've gone stagnant on their offense during games. Yes, that's true. Kelsey Mitchell is also a clutch player. That's also true. The team, I knew the game was turning around when we started off the fourth quarter and the refs had called 7 personal fouls on the Dream, and there were 0 on the Fever. I said, and this is where the game's going to turn. This is exactly when we're going to see a shift in momentum. On top of that, you have 7 Dream turnovers, 9 points off of turnovers for the Fever, 10 second chance points. It was a lot. It was an absolute lot in that fourth quarter, and it should have never gone to overtime. It honestly should have never got to the last shot. I would never put total blame on just one player. We watched the video at the game. I went over it with you. Could Ryan had, drove in past Sophie? Absolutely. She beat her on the jab. She was going left. She could have beat her to the lane. The 3, or this is what I told you at the game. You only have to win by 1 point. A 3 was not necessary. We know she can shoot it, But she's also, my biggest thing is that Ryan is probably one of the best two-way guards. Get to the rim, grab the foul. You only have to win by one. Then you have the rebound with Angel, and a foul or not, I think that you have to finish through contact regardless on that last play. Then Nas gets the rebound, and that's another miss. And so we go into overtime, and then it just became, you gave the Fever, for a lot of teams, you can't give them extra chances. And usually it is the Dream. You can't give them chances to come back and win. The Fever are another one of those teams. You can't give them the chance to come back and beat you. And that's exactly what happened. They gave them the chance. Well, the Dream and the refs gave them a chance.
Well, I'm gonna talk about when it comes to the ref, because there have been games where, even against the Tempo, where the Tempo had 4 free throw attempts compared to Atlanta's 18. So it's been inconsistent throughout. So we don't want to talk about when it's a disadvantage for the Dream.
No,
but there
absolutely.
are times when there are advantages too, because we actually talked about it with Tempo in the press conference. So that's why I don't want to talk about the refs and blaming, because at the end of the day, you should never let it come down to refs anyway. And
Absolutely.
we did see, even throughout the game, Angel Reese, and we talked about Ryan and missing shots, but Angel missed a lot of wide open layups throughout the game as well. So collectively as a team, the Dream missed a lot of shots. But I do want to switch gears and talk about what the Fever maybe did well. What did they do to get that win? And I'll start with you, Kina.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlin Clark had 26 points, 9 assists. She hit 2 clutch free throws in overtime. Now, we've seen her miss at those free throws before. So, and then Kelsey Mitchell, she had 20 points. But when I'm talking about Kelsey, I know they did great, but nobody's talking about that she went 9 of 22. So if we're going to talk about when players are having rough nights, let's talk about all of them. But she did get to 20 points. But the star, to me, was Michaela Timpson. She had a career high of 20 points. I've never seen her play the way that she played that night. So I felt like she was the star. And then you have Aaliyah. She came in with 18 points and 14 rebounds. So they did what they were supposed to do. So even though we say that the Dream just lost the game, the Fever did what they needed to do to collect that win.
I agree. And I think Michaela had a chance to be in the presser as well. I didn't attend that. I wasn't feeling well yesterday or whatever it was. See, I get my days mixed up. So many covering games. But she was in the presser as well. All right. Now, Anne-Marie, what did you see that the Fever did well to take this game from the Dream?
Well, I'm going to have to be honest, because all I've seen is replays from fourth quarter and overtime. So I will say I really do think, hate to repeat exactly what Kina said, but when you have a player like Timpson who hasn't been putting up 20 points game, she had some key offensive rebounds, some key putbacks. I think she was definitely the difference changer in that game for them. Along with just the consistency from your starters. Lexi Hull's the only starter that didn't score. Everyone else was in double figures. So, a lot of production from the Indiana Fever is coming from the starters. And they did a great job finishing the game. And, they had opportunities and they were able to pull it out. So hats off to the Fever for a good collective win as a team.
Okay. Haley?
Honestly, I'm always going to have respect for Kelsey Mitchell and all that she does for that team. Like you mentioned, the 3, that was clutch. Michaela Timpson is a player that I've always looked at and, okay, that's a defensive star. That's a player that if you need her to go cover your toughest person or the toughest offensive player, she's going to go do that. And she's going to cause, havoc. And so I believe that her offensive scoring for that game was a big piece of what helped them win this game. And, if a team opens up the door for you, you got to kick it in. And Indiana kicked it in.
Okay, good point. I want to go to our YouTube chat. We have something from Chicago Cheetah that says that kind of loss is the kind of loss that could be the very thing that prevents this team from having home court advantage. That's not a game they should have lost. Ladies, what are your thoughts on this?
When the Indiana Fever are traveling places, I think if this game was played in Gateway where it's a lot less and it's 70% season ticket holders, you get a home court advantage. But when you move into a large venue that sits 17,000 plus, we all know that Caitlin Clark has brought the audience. We know that the way she played in college, the way she's performing, there is a big following of Caitlin Clark. So in my opinion, when the Indiana Fever are traveling, it's hard to have that home court advantage, because even if in the courtside seats, even back there going to get drinks, everyone is in Caitlin Clark jerseys or Sophie Cunningham jerseys. And it is great for the game. But in my opinion, it's hard when you're in State Farm to really feel that home court advantage.
You're definitely right about that. And you got to remember, I saw a whole bunch of Raven Johnson fans the very first time they played there, because she's from here. And it was not just people that lived here. There was real, because I talked to some of these people. They're Raven Johnson fans too, or they're South Carolina fans. We have a lot of Gamecock fans that come here. But you're right. I was there and I was looking at Raphael and I was like, wait, who scored? I can't tell, because it's literally the same amount of volume. And sometimes the Fever fans were louder than the Dream fans. So you literally had no idea which was the home team and which was away, because same thing with the Aces as well. It goes the same way where it's like, okay, I don't know which team is the home team. So to that point, you're absolutely right. At Gateway, they have more of a home court advantage. And depending on who they play, at State Farm, it seems as though the opposing team is the home team. Great point, Anne-Marie. Now, I want to hear from someone that has been to a lot of these games as well, the Aces, as well as when they played the Fever. What are your thoughts on, obviously, what Chicago Cheeto said, and then also what Anne-Marie said? Haley.
So what the comment says, this is a loss that, could potentially play into home court advantage because I ultimately think that it will be a 4-5 against the Fever, just who's going to be 4 and who's going to be 5 going into the playoffs. And so that plays a big part. Also, to the home advantage, it absolutely, you couldn't tell at this game. You couldn't tell even against, the Aces. I tried not to put it all on the fact that, Gamecock fans, they travel. Like I live in South Carolina now. Anytime I go to Columbia, like they anywhere the Gamecocks are playing, they travel. And so I feel like that was a big piece for both of these games. I mean, Dawn Staley usually shows up for Dream Aces or Dream Fever because most of her previous athletes are playing. And so yeah, honestly, I think that the difference, I feel like this plays also into a bigger conversation that can be had later on what type of arena that the Dream needs. And so I love Gateway. I feel like Gateway is a more intimate and more, Dream fan experience. And then when you move up into State Farm, it's anybody can show up.
No, literally, because we've had celebrities show up like at these games. So it could literally be anyone. So I think what we take away from this is that it was a great game, as always. This is a possible 4-5 matchup, which I think could be awesome. I'm very excited about the playoffs. I think we're going to have some really great matchups. And also, on a side note, congratulations to Golden State, who has clinched yet another playoff berth. That's the team that's on the rise. It's funny because the journalists last night on the presser, they are constantly asking Gabby Williams about why she's here and the purpose. And she says, I don't know how many times I have to tell you all, like, I'm here to win. I want to win a title. So they are on a mission, and they're one of the most scary teams in the league as well. So let's switch gears and talk about a story that I think that it's a little disappointing and a little sad when we think about Satou Sabally and what she's going through right now. And she's had to take some time away for a lingering concussion. And this lingering concussion actually started in 2025. And she's had this documented head injury. And she said, look, I need to take time away. And I know a lot of us are praying for her to heal. Head injuries are not something that we want to play with. We've seen it with Tua in the NFL. We've seen it with a lot of people in the NFL of just kind of what that looks like, the impact it can have on you. And so for me, this was a story that was a little sad for me. Satou has been playing well, but having to take time also needed when you talk about potential brain injuries or anything neurologically. God, that's a hard word to say. You want to make sure that you are taking time and really getting the best attention that you need. So I want to ask you all about the Mercury. Did they properly handle this, her initial concussion? Kina, what are your thoughts on it? How did they handle it?
Honestly, I hate to say yes or no because I don't know what to do. But for me, something just doesn't sit right. I know in the immediate moment, they did what they're supposed to do. So all of that checks out. But when I step back and I just look at everything that's been going on since, Satu is a player who's now dealt with 2 head injuries in 12 months. And the symptoms have lingered so badly, she missed the whole Unrivaled season. So it makes me wonder if the follow-up care was done correctly, if long-term monitoring was done correctly, whatever conversations happened after that, were they done correctly? Because I can't like pinpoint to one specific thing they could have done differently since I don't really know that field. But I have just like this nagging feeling that something and somewhere in that process, something was done wrong for her to still be dealing with these issues today.
Absolutely. Haley, what are your thoughts?
I want to be careful when I say this because I don't want to make a medical or negligence claim for the Mercury, but I believe that her concussion, the first one, as a fan, if you're looking at it as a fan perspective, it's like, okay, maybe she shouldn't have got up. Maybe they should have, wheeled her off the court or, done something to where she wasn't walking off on her own. I don't want to make a crazy, like I said, I don't want to make a crazy claim about the Mercury. Maybe it was not handled correctly. Maybe it was. We don't know. We don't know the behind the scenes. But like mentioned, she missed Unrivaled. She's now having to step away. I believe that the repeated head injuries could be an extreme caution that they need to take with her. I mean, personally, I've had maybe one concussion in my growing up in sports and stuff like that, and I know that we took that super seriously. So I believe that with her having 2 this close together, this is something that she needed. She needs to take the caution for it.
Yeah, and I've never had a concussion, so I couldn't imagine not even just having it, but how scary it can be as well, not knowing the impact of a concussion. Anne-Marie, what are your thoughts?
I just think everyone's doing the best they can. So in my opinion, I would say, the Mercury staff, trainers, medical did what they thought was best. I also think it's really hard as a player, just being a competitor. We know in that game 3 of the finals of 2025, Satu went down, hit her head on Kristen Bell with the ace's knee. And to my knowledge and the research I've done, I believe she continued to play. She didn't necessarily get taken off on a stretcher. And then next game, she did not play. And that's when they had deemed it a concussion. But, I think it's just really hard. Sometimes as a competitor, you want to keep playing. You're like, no, I hit my head. I'm fine. But that's when you rely on medical staff to say, hey, well, let's take you off quick. Let's just, look at it. I don't know exactly what all transpired, but I will say that I'm sure that the Mercury staff did all that they could to protect Satu. And now just seeing how things have panned out for her just really stinks. And you just hate to see a player who's as talented as she is now a year later still be impacted and negatively affected from this injury. I know that she missed all of Unrivaled season, which, as we know, was heavily compensated and has been a great league for players to play in the off season of the W. I know the coach came out, Nate Tibbs came out, and I believe he stated, Tibbetts, that he believes that it was handled appropriately. But at the end of the day, Satu's now having to sit out, moving to the New York Liberty, which I thought was a great fit for her given her versatility. And unfortunately, it's a part of the game, but hopefully she'll be back.
Yeah, we're all praying that she returns safely, great health. But Anne-Marie, you talked about this. She now in New York. How does this impact the Liberty in their playoff run? They've had a very inconsistent year. Having her out could be a blow to them. Anne-Marie, what are your thoughts on how it's going to impact the playoff run for the Liberty?
I think your bench and your depth gets really important towards the end of the season and playoffs. As we know, there's back-to-back games right now in the league, so really monitoring minutes is super important. I think at 6'4", Satu Sabally is extremely versatile. She can rebound, she can shoot the three, she can pull up, she can post up. And we've seen that from her. This has actually been one of her lower performing seasons, averaging about 10.2 points, 2.8 rebounds. But even in that, she's coming off the 10 points she's providing. But she also allows, when you have Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, and Satu in, you have height, you have length. They're doing stuff on the offensive and defensive end. So where Satu is not the star player, or probably really one of the top 3-4 offensive threats, she's someone that comes in, provides consistency. If Brianna Stewart needs a few minutes, she can produce, she can defend. So I think this is someone that's going to be truly missed on the Liberty, just given what she's able to do and provide for the Liberty.
Great points. Kina.
I mean, I feel like it's a loss. I feel like she's missed a lot on that court, but I will say they have found some type of rhythm without her. And, we see that Stewie's carrying the load, but I do feel like if she was out there, this team would be completely different. Like, Anne-Marie spoke on her versatility, her two-way ability. That's just not something you can replace. Right now it's being masked because they're still getting wins, but if they happen to make that playoff run, she's going to be needed in October. But, if she's not herself and if her health is not great, I definitely don't want to see her out there, but I do see that she is missed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that Satu brings, size, versatility, another matchup for an opposing team. Her offensive output is now going to be, taken over by somebody else, or that load is going to be put on somebody else's shoulders, either Stewie or like Sabrina. She's also dealt with her own injuries. It reduces their flexibility between their lineups. But again, I feel like the health of the player outweighs seeding. And so or regular season seeding. And so if it comes down and she's not able to play, I would not push her. If it's something where you can just bring her back next year and worry about, then that's something that I would do, because I wouldn't risk her health and her potentially having even more problems down the road by rushing her back.
Yeah, I think it goes beyond the game at this point. When you talk about concussions and head injuries, we still don't really know the long-term impact of these concussions. We've seen, like I said, we've seen some of it in the NFL. We just don't know. And we heard Becky Hammond talk about it best. Player health is important. Of course, she's talking about rest and things like that, but it's the same thought here as well, focusing on her health, because she's still a young lady. We want to make sure that she has a long, thriving, healthy future ahead of her. Speaking of teams that are probably going to make a run in the playoffs, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Lynx. And they love to do I think they're doing the bus stop. We call it the bus stop. Electric slide. Is that that's the same thing, right? Electric slide.
I feel like it is.
No, we call it the bus stop down in the South. Okay, that's what we call it. But I'm thinking it's called the electric slide for others. I don't know. They're doing their signature little dance thing. Okay, that's what they do. Okay, so this is a team that has been at the top of the league the entire season, and it just seems like they're unstoppable. We just saw them play the Aces, and it just looks like the Aces just cannot beat this team for some reason. And now the question remains, who, if anyone, has the best chance to beat Minnesota in the final? Yes, we're predicting that they're going to be in the finals. You never know. I get it. But the purposes of our show, we're going to pretend that they're going to already be there. Okay? So who has the best chance of beating this team? I see a smile on that face, Kina. Who are you thinking?
You just talked about them, the Aces. I feel like the Aces is the only team that can really beat them when it matters. Like, I know it matters in the regular season, but when I'm talking about the playoffs and finals and things like that, I only see the Aces there. It starts with the MVP, the face of the league, Asia. She's leading the entire league in scoring and blocks, and when games matter the most, She's the one player in the league that can single-handedly change that almost L to a W. So we add that. She also has a championship pedigree, a roster that's been through the finals before. Playmakers like Jackie and like Chelsea, I feel like they can close out a game of this caliber. So for me, I can only see the aces at this point.
Okay, aces. Okay, well, Haley, I see you got some thoughts over there. Do you agree? Disagree? Who do you have?
So I totally agree. But I also want to add another one. I believe Golden State is also right there. For Vegas, I believe I have three statements for them. You have your big three. I wouldn't even say big three. Sorry, big four. You add in Alyssa, so you have your big four. You have championship experience, and you have Becky Hammond. That's a recipe for a W. That's a recipe for a championship. We've seen it. And but going on to the Golden State is a sleeper. I think we're way past looking at them as, an expansion team and looking at them as like true contenders. Natalie Nakase is building something absolutely special. And when I even sit in the press conferences for Golden State, it's like you can tell that she believes in her players. And if nobody believes in her players, she does. If nobody believes in their team, she's made sure that the players believe in each other. And so I think that she's built something absolutely special in Golden State, and that the Valkyries could be a potential competition for Minnesota this year.
All right. Anne-Marie, who you got?
So I'm going to throw another one into the mix. But I think that with Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell playing the way that they're playing, I think that the Indiana Fever could be a team that could slip in there. Obviously, we know they're dealing with some on and off the court stuff, but I really do think that team has the talent and the guard play that they could compete against the Lynx.
Did you hear that, Anthony? Someone said the Fever. So give us some credit, okay? We do love the Fever around here as well. So what are your thoughts on each other's picks? We have Aces, Golden State, and Indiana. What are your thoughts on what each other said?
I think everybody chose great teams. Those are three teams that I think can take out the Lynx. I think.
I like the sleeper. I like Haley bringing up the Golden State Valkyries. I mean, obviously, we're in Atlanta. We know Atlanta got their little butt handed to them, not 1, 2, but 3 times. So
3 times, yes.
3. But no, I really just think the chemistry with them, you see the camaraderie. I think the team, even though they're one of the newer teams in the league, they have the pieces. And I think when you have everyone buying in and knowing your role, I think that just really speaks to the coach that Natalie is. And I think that they really have the ability. They've beaten a few of the top teams. They have the chemistry. They're still continuing to be successful at the right time in the season. So I think that was a really good point that Haley brought up. And then obviously the aces, I mean, Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young. I mean, they have a lot of talent. I think they're just really still trying to figure out sometimes the chemistry and why they're not able to finish some of these games, but they have all the pieces to beat the Lynx.
Absolutely. And Natalie knows a little bit about winning as well. So she knows just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I'm talking about winning herself. So, any other thoughts?
I agree with you guys. Two more teams actually that I want to throw out there that are. And I'm not I'm not trying to throw my bias around, but I believe if the Dream are connecting on in a series, I think the Dream can pull it off. Another team that nobody's talking about are the Mystics.
You know, I love a good Mystic.
When you think the Mystics are out of this, they're not. This is a team preseason that I said they're going to be scrappy. I said they're young. I've talked to and asked Carl Smesko when the Dream played the Mystics, about them being young and scrappy. Preseason, I said that this is a team that's going to probably finish like 8 or 9. Either they're fighting for a spot or they're the first team out. This is a team that has exceeded those expectations. And this is a team that has beat these top teams.
They have. And
in a series, if you let them get the confidence, they're already gaining it heading into the playoffs. But if you let them have that confidence in a series, I think the Mystics can show up and show out.
And I want to ask you about that, Haley, because you mentioned the dream. But how does the dream fare against those top teams compared to a Washington?
So honestly, Washington's actually done way better against those top teams this season. What we've lost, the Dream lost three straight, or three against. They've been swept by every team. No, they beat Minnesota first, so they have potential against Minnesota. They
That
have
was before
lost.
Nafisa came back too, by the
That
way,
was
and
before,
early
yeah,
on.
Nafisa came back, yes. But they've showed that they could compete. Yes, it was early in the season, but they have a team built, and I think that if the Lynx have Nafisa back, and I feel like if the Dream can hold on and get Bree officially back, she's out again, but her back, get JC back, then I think that this still is a team that has the potential to contend. But yes, the Mystics have done actually a way better job. Not even just with the Lynx or Golden State or the Aces, but as well as taking off teams like the Liberty or Dallas and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a sleeper.
They are very much a sleeper. And you actually talked about a team that we're going to talk about now, which are the Dallas Wings. They've been a team that at one point looked like they are going to contend for a title, and then the next, it looks like they don't know what's going on. They kind of stumbled coming out of All-Star break, dropping 5 of 6 1-point games before snapping a 3-game skid with the win over the Tempo. But again, this is a team that's shown like, oh my God, they're going to be great. And then other times you're just like, what is really going on with this team? And that's when I want to ask my girls, what is going on with the Wings? All right, Anne-Marie, what's going on with the Wings?
I mean, I think first and foremost, missing Jessica Shepard the past few games has been a huge miss for them. We know she is a huge contributor, offense and defense. She's a big rebounder, and she can contribute around the basket. So I think having her sit out, just knowing the leadership she provides on the court, as well as her output from a rebounding standpoint. I believe she's second in the league in rebounding. And is right there with Angel Reese, going back and forth for who has the most double-doubles. Obviously, she's missed a few games, but I think just her output, her not being on the court. Also, AZ Fudd has not been dressing out and has not been playing. I think the attention she brings, obviously number 1 draft pick, her ability to shoot the 3, and she's someone that's just very consistent. I think missing those 2 players has been hard. And right now there's a lot of pressure on Paige to perform, and she can't do it alone. And I think, she's playing a lot of minutes, and the offense really, really runs all through Paige. So I think right now she has a lot of pressure on her, and she needs more people to just step up. Alana Smith's taken her a while to get her rhythm. She's finally starting to see kind of what she did last year. She came from the Lynx where she was co-defensive player of the year. This year, she's been in her mask. She looked like a broken nose, couldn't catch her rhythm early on. She's finally starting to get in a flow. So hopefully with Jessica Shepard back and her being more comfortable on the court with the Wings, hopefully they'll be able to pick up some momentum. But it's really tough, and it really, really hurts when you're in these games and you keep losing by 1 point. I mean, there's got to be a lot of frustration on that end for the Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jess was out. She just came back last night, and they still didn't get the win. But I think it's injuries because we have AZ out. And then I know Coach has talked about the scheduling. They had like 6 games in 12 days coming out of the All-Star break. But I also know Coach talked about the fouling. Like, they gave up 38 free throw attempts in 1 game. And he's also pointed out to the rotations as a real issue. So I feel like there's a lot of things that are stacked up against them. Plus Paige feeling like she has to do it all because no one else is available. So it's like a mixture of like legitimate fatigue, injury, scheduling. I feel like also some execution problems. You're losing by a couple points is a problem as well. So the players and the coaching staff really need to fix those things in order to be able to move on to the next level.
Great point.
I totally agree with both of you guys. Injuries have been a big part of what's going on with the Wings. It's honestly, injuries have been a big part of a few other teams as well. But it comes down to, Paige Beckers can produce, but their whole offense can't become Paige save us. And so I think that, when you're looking at a team who is missing, some of their star players, on a nightly basis, somebody else has to show up. They've shown that they, can come back and they can fight, but also stop putting yourself in positions where you're having to come back and fight. And when you're dealing with injuries, it makes rotations a lot harder. And I feel like that's what Jose is running into, is just not being able to necessarily get the players or the rotations that he wants in there because, Jess is out or because AZ's out and having to deal with that.
Yeah, and I just want to say Paige is not Paige. Her name is Peggy Buckets.
Peggy Buckets.
You guys, that's Miss Peggy, okay? And she's been doing a lot. You're right. She has been. But can this team turn it around at the end of the season? Haley, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think they can, but their runway is getting real short. Like their runway is getting real short. It's they're running out of time. Health is a big thing. Are your players going to be healthy? Just it's a lot going on. You have the playoff picture. It makes the remaining games become tougher. You don't have chances to just give away games to rest your starters or to give your starters some more time or less time in the game, and so the runway is getting shorter. I think they can turn it around, but they need to start now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it has to start now. They're running out of time. I mean, even in the middle of this slide, they still have a cushion in the playoff race. So I feel like also the FIBA break may actually help them. They may get a little rest in there and then come back to finish up the season on the 17th. Maybe AZ will be able to play again, and maybe they can. But I really feel like they can. They just have some work to do.
Yeah. That FIBA break could be good for all teams.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Anne-Marie, what are your thoughts?
I think they can definitely. I think they've just had a really rough run the past 7 games, but I think we saw at the beginning of the season that they have the pieces, they have the ability to win games. It's also hard when you have injuries. You have new players taking on new roles. They might not be confident out there. So it's a lot of adjustments to be made when 2 of your players who play significant minutes are sitting on the bench. It's a lot of adjustments, not only that the coaches are trying to find the right fit and people that can also perform and give the offensive outputs that Jessica Shepard as well as AZ Fudd brought to the table. And then you bring them back, and then players that might have stepped into a different role and maybe felt like they were performing, then they need to sit back again. So I think there's also a lot of different dynamics when you're working through injuries, playing time. But I think the Dallas Wings have proven that they can compete. So I think that they're a team that can definitely turn it around here at the end of the second half of the season.
And I heard a lot of you all talking about injuries and rest. But one of the things that Coach Fernandez has gotten a lot of criticism about is not resting starters. When Becky Hammond came out and said that the health of her players was most important and she didn't care about seeding, a lot of people actually posted under that with comments such as, please tell Jose this. And it was constantly that sort of thing. But I heard you all say that it's going to be hard to rest starters because of injuries. So obviously that's very different than what a lot of their fans are asking for. So I'm going to ask you all, should he rest some of these starters? Maybe even Peggy Buckets. Maybe she gets some rest. Haley, I see us going like this. What are your thoughts on this?
The Dallas Wings they're not in a position to rest their starters. They're not, and the Aces can do that. The Lynx can do that. The Valkyries can do that. They've clinched playoff position. The Wings are still fighting. You still have teams crawling up, trying to, get higher seedings, make it into the playoffs. What is the last 2 teams, I think, left that are still fighting? And so it's like they don't have the opportunity to sit their starters. They don't at all.
Okay. Kina, you
They just don't have that luxury. I mean, the only person I could think that would even get rest consideration would be Peggy, but she can't because if she's not out there, who's doing the work? I know she's going into FIBA and she's going to have no break. She's going to be tired, but I just don't think the Wings have that luxury of being able to rest anyone at this point if they want to stay in the playoff race.
Good point, because she is also playing in FIBA as well. Good point. Marie?
I mean, I think to stay competitive in this league, it's really hard to rest your starters. Is rest the full game? Is rest cutting back a few minutes? I think that maybe if he needed to cut Paige's minutes slightly, okay, but is it because her body is tight? Like, what are the reasoning? Dallas Wings need Paige on the court. But I mean, if there's a reason or if there's soreness or things of that nature, I think, rest them. But at the end of the day, like, this is a competitive, every game could matter at the end of the day based on seeding, or are you getting a home court advantage or not? So I think resting isn't necessarily the best answer. But I did want to mention, because I was just looking at the minutes played for some of the Dream players in the Indiana Fever game.
Yes.
I mean, I think the most minutes someone played on the Fever was 26, Caitlin Clark. Alicia Gray played 42, Ryan 43, Angel 38. So also, I mean, if you want to win games, you have to have your best players on the court, and resting them is going to keep you from getting that win or performing as you would like. So I think you can't really rest them. You got to play them.
Yeah, the Dream get the same criticism of playing their starters too much.
Yeah.
They get it a lot. Well, it's also a lack of trust in the bench. So
I was going to say that ties into the bench. Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely ties in that too as well. So we're going to switch gears and talk about another team that just is just like, what is going on? And that is the Toronto Tempo. They're 0-10 in their last 10 games, haven't won in quite some time. They're another team that, Marina and Marie can have an outstanding game, score 36 points, and they're still losing. It has been a struggle for this team. And it's funny because we asked a few weeks ago who was the best expansion team. And most everybody said it was actually the Fire. And just the question is, what does the Tempo need to do? Oh, I lost my ladies. There we go, ladies. There we go. What do they need to do to improve? I mean, maybe just one thing. Let's start with, what can they do to just get a win? Haley, I know, Haley, you cover this team, right?
I do.
You do. Now KB Sports Media will be covering them too. We are now added to the media list. But in the meantime, Haley, you've been covering them quite a lot this season. What do they need to do?
There's so many things, but you told us to bring one. First I want to keep in mind that this is an expansion team, and I feel like with Golden State and what they did last year and what they're doing this year has set what an expansion team has the possibility of doing. And so I still want to keep in mind that this is an expansion team, but they have to, they've run into injuries also, but they have to find an identity for their core players. Again, like you said, Marina can go off. You're missing Slim. Kiki went out for a little bit. Your core players have to have an identity. They have to be able to work with each other. It can't be, one player's on one night, another player's on another night. Find that identity.
Okay. They need to find an identity. Okay. She's got more, but she's like, I'm going to just do one, and then we'll come around and she'll give her other 20 things they need to do. Kina, what do they need to do to improve?
For me, it starts on the defensive end. I mean, coaches even talked about it. I feel like watching them play sometimes, I feel like it's a pickup game and they hadn't met each other before. There's no talking. There's not a ton of effort when it comes on the defensive end. Of course, they've dealt with injuries, which is nothing they can really fix. They can't fix that. But, having a whole team that's able to work together on both ends of the court really should be the standard, and they're struggling with that right now.
And before we go to something that's in the chat here, because I know that Anne-Marie sees it as well, so I'm going to show it in a second. But Anne-Marie, what's the thing that Tempo has to do to improve?
I'm going to go with a different answer, but I do totally agree with what Haley said. I think finding their identity, but I'm going to go with finishing games. I think they have shown that they can battle back and fight back. As we saw, I was at the Dream game. They battled back. I mean, they were down 20 something. They got it to single digits. So they're showing that they can play, but finishing. They've got to bring into consistency and be able to finish games. And I think right now, the performance for the Toronto Tempo is just inconsistent.
So we heard inconsistency, fine identity, culture. And so we have someone, and he's new or she's new. I can't see. It looks like it's something of Drake as the picture, so I can't see their face. But that is definitely a picture of Drake. They said, easy answer, draft Hannah Hidalgo. All right, ladies, what are our thoughts on this being a possible improvement, maybe for next year? Of course, not this year, but what are our thoughts on this for a future way to improve?
I don't mind it, but I don't think it's going to fix anything that we've brought up just now. I mean, I don't mind it. I love Hannah. I would love to see her. I think she would be great with the Tempo, but it doesn't fix the things that we've kind of pointed out just now.
It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. I honestly, I would not like to see her on the Tempo, because not only does it not help the things that we've talked about, but I think it's gonna make their offense more congested. So I think it might hurt. She's an absolutely great player. This is just not the team for her.
Great point, Anne-Marie.
I mean, apparently it's an easy answer. I didn't think that was the answer. I mean, I just think one player, I mean, it's really hard for one player to come in and completely bring like consistency, because it's not just you, it's 5 people on the court. So I think, overall consistency of the team is important. I think they're heavily relying on Mabrey too much, but I don't think that necessarily Hannah Hidalgo would be the answer for the Toronto to turn this season or next season or whenever she's eligible to be drafted.
Great point. So now we have to ask a question, because again, they are on a very, very long losing streak. When do you expect them to win their next game? Anne-Marie.
I'm trying to be positive. I'm going to say they're definitely going to win on August 26th, which is against Seattle. And, even this week, they play Portland on Friday. I think that's a team, 2 expansion teams. I think that's going to be a fun game, and one maybe that Toronto could pull out, given we see a little more consistency. And Mabrey generally has to have a big night for them to get a win. So I'm going to go with 100% on the 26th against Seattle, but otherwise I think they could be competitive and come up with a win against the Portland Fire on Friday.
Okay. All right. Good pick. Kina?
Well, it won't be tonight. I know that. Not beating the Fever tonight, but I agree with Anne-Marie. It's going to come against a team that hasn't been doing very well themselves. So I feel like when they play like the Storm, that they'll get their win there. It's just, I hate to see teams go through this, but I just don't see it happening this week.
Not winning tonight. Okay, they're gonna watch this. They're gonna say,
"Told you."
I want to cause a little havoc. I think they can win tonight. I absolutely think they can win tonight. Slim is back. She's on limited minutes, but Slim is back. So you have, offense coming from her. I think that they could upset the Fever tonight. I do.
Ooh, we got to watch out for that. Anthony, I know you're listening.
How much money you got on that?
I'm going to talk to Haley about this after.
She doesn't know Anthony. I'm telling you. Look, we don't know her, okay? We don't know her. All right, so we have maybe an upset tonight, and then we have people saying that it's going to be against Seattle. So only time will tell. They have great pieces, but as we mentioned, culture, identity, consistency is something that's been an Achilles heel for this team. And now we go to the segment, which I think is a lot of people's favorite segment, which is our Block D. And we had so much fun with Rapid Fire last week that we brought it back again this week. And so, Haley, you're new to this, but it's fun. And so just a little bit of overview. I'm going to give you 4 questions, and I want you to just tell me your answer and why. You have to be able to defend it, okay? And I know you will, because I know you prepped for this. So the first one is, who is the greatest player in WNBA history who never won a championship? Let's start with a newbie. Why not? Let's initiate it, girls. All right, Haley, who you got?
Angel McCoughtry.
Okay.
We
Why?
can't steal mine.
She may have a different why. I don't know. Let's go with that.
Absolutely, Angel McCoughtry. I grew up, in Georgia, and so I got to see her, take the dream so close and never win. And so I think she's an elite scorer, or she was an elite scorer. She was an elite competitor, and I think, three finals. I think 2 were back to back against the Lynx, and so it's like you have a player that could have won, and I think she is one of the greatest that never won a championship.
She was, I think, Anne Marie's most underrated of all time. I think, right? Anne Marie, was that your? Okay, so I'm gonna let you go next. So Anne Marie, who you got?
Angel McCoughtry. I think her elite defense, her elite ability to score on the offensive end. I think we also have to talk about that she was 5-time All-Star, 6-time All-WNBA, 7-time defensive, 2-time scoring leader. So, and then, as was mentioned by Haley, she took them to 3 finals, 2010, 11, and 13, 13, I believe. So really the only thing she hasn't done is win the championship. She's been there. She has so many accolades. So for me, I think she's probably the greatest player in WNBA history, just given her resume. And the only thing that she hasn't done is won a championship.
Love it. We do have something in the chat over here, but I'm going to let Kina go first before we go to that.
So I'm picking this. I'm just kidding. I'm not picking this. I thought about her. She was on my list, but I'm going to go with Tina Charles. And I'm going to go with Tina Charles because she's the WNBA's all-time leading rebounder, second in scoring, league MVP in 2012, 8-time All-Star, unanimous Rookie of the Year in 2010, 5-time All-WNBA first team, and 3 gold medals with the Olympic team. So she has one of the most decorated resumes in league history, and the only thing that's missing is that jewelry.
Is the jewelry. And we just had an announcement coming out. So, courtesy of Christine Jacobson, AT&T WNBA All-Stars heading to San Francisco Bay in 2027. You got it too, Haley, right?
I did. I'm looking at it right now.
Yes. So we will be covering them next year. And so we may be out there in San Francisco. So
got to book my hotel now.
To the city of San Francisco for hosting.
It's going to be fun.
This is what we expected. I expected it.
I did too.
It's going to be fun.
I said them or Dallas, because Dallas is moving into their new, arena.
So it's going to be great. And so now that we are covering them, I'm just going to make sure I send Christina and say, hey, make sure you stay with the team and make sure you keep us on the media list. Yep. So awesome. All right. So we want to make that breaking news. Look at us doing breaking news.
I know that's right.
Look at us. ESPN. No, KBSN. All right, next question. If you can bring back one former WNBA player in her prime to play in today's league, who would you choose and why? This is a good one. I'm going to start with our former WNBA player, and I keep saying that because you were. Anne Marie, who would you pick?
I picked Cheryl Swoops. I just think that her game translates perfectly. I think now we kind of have a little bit more of that positionless, kind of that 2 through 5 people who can do a lot of different things on the offensive end. I think with her ability to score, she had the caliber, I think, to be a defensive player of the year. So for me, I just think she's someone whose game would translate over and do really, really well in the current league.
All-time great too. Who you got? Oh, no. Wait, did she take your answer, Kina? Who you got?
She did, but
Kina has backup. She has
but
backup.
I have a backup because
I always have a backup.
So I was picking Cheryl Swoops selfishly, of course, because she is my favorite. So I would love to see her play again. But I went with Maya Moore. We talked about her before and how, we don't feel like her game was over, but you know, she had other things going on. She's a 4-time WNBA champion. She was just everything, and I would love to see her get back in the game, especially at her prime, because all we saw honestly was her prime. So I would love to see how it would translate in today's game.
I think that's a good one, actually. I like that one.
You took mine.
Oh,
that was mine.
That was great minds think alike. We all thought this.
Well, it's only so yeah. Maya Moore is I'm a big fan, and always have been, and that's just because I mean, growing up, I grew up in Gwinnett County. She went to Collin too. Maya Moore is a legend in Georgia, in that part of Georgia, and so I think what she could do on the floor would translate great to now. Absolutely great to now.
Oh yeah. I was in Atlanta at that time, and you just heard about this little kid, this girl playing up in Collins Hill, and it was just like constantly hearing about her more than you heard about the boys basketball player, because she was that great. And I do want to put something with Anthony put in here. Hey, Anthony, look at here.
I like that answer.
We like it, and woohoo!
We got to work on the spelling, but we'll take it.
Woohoo, Anthony, yeah. So why do you like this answer, Anne-Marie? Why do we like this?
Because she's so skilled. She's long. We talked about it. I think she just fits in. You know, we're seeing more players like Dom Malonga and people that have the length, but I mean, I hate to say positionless, but they're players that can stretch. She can shoot the three. You know, she was a player that shot, as we mentioned, 50% from the floor, 40 from three, over 90% from the free throw line. She's efficient. She's effective. And her length, I mean, she shoots it so high. It is so hard to contest a 6'5" person that actually shoots on their head or above their head. I mean, she's just super skilled, and I think she's someone that, given if she didn't have, you know, we know she has an autoimmune. She had a lot of back issues at the end of her career. But I really do think her game would translate and she would continue to dominate.
Love it. Ladies. Hey, LaKisha, what are your thoughts on this?
She proved it. She proved it at All-Star this last year.
She still has
it in her. Yeah, she still has it in her. So I believe, she could get out there and ball. But I have another name.
Okay, bring it.
Candace. I think Candace in today's game would still be but we talked about that earlier with, you know, Elena Deladon or Candace and their size and how they can move. I think that's a great transition, because those are positionless basketball players in a time where positionless basketball is a big thing.
Okay.
That's a good one. I can see Lisa Leslie coming back too. I mean, that's another one that, you know, she stays booked and busy, but I would like to see her come back and show a little something too.
She's like, girl, she don't have time. She's booked and busy. No time for any of that. All right. Who's ready for our next rapid fire question? Which WNBA record do you think will be the hardest to break? Kina, what you got?
We talked about her earlier, but DT's all-time scoring record, I feel like, will be very hard to break. And I don't know if anybody's going to be playing as long as she did and doing all the things that she's done, but for 20 straight years, it's going to be very difficult for someone to break that record, in my opinion.
You know, they said that about Kareem.
Right.
And then came old LeBron.
Yeah, that's true.
But it took a while, though. It took
you got to play for some time to be able to do that. So.
And play at a high level.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a good point too. It has to be like playing a long time, because Vince Carter played 20 something years. That's my sister's favorite player. Don't badmouth him because she gets very offended.
Love
so
that.
He played a lot of years too, but you know, he had his he wasn't LeBron though. Yeah, we get it. Hey Lee, what's your answer?
You took mine again.
I'm sorry.
But I have another one. I think Sue Bird's career assist record. I don't think anybody can get that. I think that's a really good one.
Okay.
I think with the way the league is going that a lot of these records are going to be easier to break. I think, when the league started, the amount of games played per season was a lot lower. Now we're pushing for 50 games next season. So I think when you look at the career stats when it comes to points, assists, rebounds, I actually think that those are going to be more obtainable to be broken. My answer was Diana Taurasi's scoring, but I do think it will be the hardest. But I also know that what's coming with this, with the league and the growth of more games, that it is more likely, that a Asia Wilson or a top player that can really have that longevity. I think that's going to be the biggest factor is, injuries and the longevity of your career. What records will be broken.
Ooh, I like that point with the number of games. Haley and Kina, how do you think that that's going to factor in some of these records being broken?
Yeah, it's gonna help with players trying to break those records. Do I see it happening though? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it'll help, but I mean, you still have to play the years. You still have to put in the time. You still have to play the games, and you still have to, again, like I said, perform at a high level to get these records.
Okay, here's one. See the faces, okay?
What 60 plus records?
As a rookie by CC, she had a lot of records, I'm gonna assume.
Oh, 60.
She did have a lot.
She had a lot of rookie records.
She had a lot of rookie records, and isn't Olivia Miles already starting to take a lot of those down?
She has.
Okay.
Some of them, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But good for her. We love Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, no, Caitlin did a lot of things in her rookie year. We're not gonna knock her. She did a lot of great things. She came in, and it wasn't just about the hype. That was great, but it was also about the production as well. So she definitely did some stuff. I have another one here. Who wants to see another one?
This picture, I
struggle. At first I saw it, I was like, "What is that?" Then I was like, "Oh, it's."
I struggle.
What about this one?
Oh, sorry, I was about to dissect the profile picture because I'm confused.
It's Drake in blackface.
I know what it's from, but yeah.
I like Sylvia Fowles. I mean, I think she's a beast of a presence inside. I think her length, her strength, the lady is strong as heck. I think she would be a great player as well. That would compete. I think we don't have as many center post players that are that on the block banger. I think that was her. She also had a great mid range, but I think we're getting away from really having that just center post presence that's only back to the basket. Like we used to see more often.
So do you think that this will be broken?
I don't know how. That's a 60% is, that's really hard. Thank you for bringing that one to our attention.
Yeah.
User DM with your cute little profile picture.
Haley, Kina, what are your thoughts on this one ever being broken?
It's gonna be tough. Yeah, that's not something that you play a number of games and you reach. This is something that you have to be consistent with, and we don't have many. I always say we're losing lack of true point guards, and we're losing or we're having a lack of back to the basket centers, and yeah, this is going to be a hard one to get, honestly.
Yeah. So are we thinking that because the positions have changed and you're seeing more of the centers actually doing more mid-range shots and more three-point shots, is that a reason why we think it's going to be hard to break? Kina, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, even in the W, but even in the NBA, I am so tired of watching everybody shoot threes.
My God, Carl Anthony Towns. Oh, Lord.
I just need to see more. Get to the basket. The mid-range, I feel like Paige does that well. Slim does it well. There's a lot of people that take different shots, and if we're only focusing on shooting a three, then this record is not going to be broken.
Don't get me started because I don't know how many times I've yelled at Kat. Congratulations, Kat, for getting married, though.
Yes.
Congratulations. Your wedding looked absolutely beautiful. And
I go to the
congratulations
basket.
on but sir, if congratulations on the title.
It's not just him. It's not just him.
No, wait, he aggravates me.
Listen,
most.
no, I watch a Liberty game and I'm like, if JJ takes another 3.
Okay, you know what? Look at it must be New York. It's something in the water in New York.
I was like, if she takes another 3, I'm looking at her. I was like, I always said like BG is still like BG's now gone out, further out to the 3-point line, but like BG for a while was like one of the toughest little hook shots right at the rim.
Yeah.
And so like if I see another center that's 6'8" take a 3, I'm gonna flip out because if I was 6'8", you couldn't stop me down low.
Thank you.
You couldn't. I would be talking the most crap. I would be bodying everybody. Just height off of height alone. You look at Han. Is it Han for also New York? Mm-hmm. Why are you out there? Get under the basket. Get under the basket. I'd be dunking every game. It doesn't have to be extravagant, and it doesn't even have to be extravagant. It's just
but it's not just the 3 of them. You also have Nikola Jokic in the NBA. It's everywhere with bigs shooting. So I don't know where it started, but it's steeped in both the NBA and the WNBA. And we're asking and calling for you all to stop doing it. Thank you.
Go to the basket. That's it. That's all.
That's all we ask. Male, female, we don't care what league. Just please, for us, stop doing it. All right. Last, but of course not least, which WNBA player had the most impressive playoff run? And I'm curious to hear what you all say because I'm wondering if you're going to pick people that actually won a title or maybe someone who had a great, impressive playoff run but didn't win the title. So let's hear from the panel. Haley, who do you have?
Oh, I get to get mine out first this time? No, I'm playing.
Yes. Let's see if someone has stolen.
Choose wisely, ma'am.
I'm going to pick 2016 Candace Parker. I hope nobody else had that. But I'm going to pick 2016 Candace Parker. What was it? Finals MVP, a championship. That went to 5 games, did it not? I believe. Was that? Yeah, it was 2016. 2016 Candace Parker is what I'm going with.
Okay. And ladies, we have about 2 minutes left. And Marie, who do you have?
So I went with Cynthia Cooper with the Houston Comets, which is a little bit back in the day. But 1997, I believe she won the inaugural season. She was MVP. Finals MVP, got a championship. And then in 1998, she did it again, averaging 26.3 points per game. They won the finals. She was MVP, scoring champion, and also got her ring. So for me, I would go with Cynthia Cooper in 1998 with the Houston Comets, who were making their return next season.
Ooh, that was a good one because I watched that one as a little girl. And boy, I wanted to be Cynthia Cooper. Wasn't quite as good. I was a good defensive player, though, but I remember that run as well. Kina, who do you have and why?
I'm just going to make it quick because we don't have much time, but I'm going with someone lately, and I'm going to go with Asia Wilson's 2025 championship run with the Aces. And the reason why in that final sweep, she averaged 28.5 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks per game. So I could go deeper into it, but, the face of the league was doing her thing last year, so that's who I'm going with.
I think this is a record where nobody had each other's.
Yes.
Is this a first?
But I take you Asia, and I raise you Chelsea.
In
her the 2022 season.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm still going with Cynthia Cooper. That's still who I'm going to go with. Thank you, Amber. I love when we have history lessons on this show because we have to educate people on those that maybe did not realize that the WNBA existed before Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. We want to welcome you to the W. All right. So I want to just say thank you, Haley, for joining. You fit in like a glove. You did a great job. And Courtney, again, we did miss you, but we definitely give kudos to Haley for stepping in and doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
All righty. Okay, so we are going to conclude our show today. So thank you to everyone for joining us for another episode of Hoops and Hers. As always, I'm your host, LaKisha KB Brooks, and I'm always joined by my esteemed panel. Today we had Haley, Kina, and Anne Marie. And as mentioned many times before, we miss Courtney and hope she's having a wonderful time at her conference and on vacation. Make sure to always follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and of course, on KB Sports Network, on Roku and Amazon Fire, as well on as our mobile app. We will see you every Tuesday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. All right. Have a wonderful week. And as always, we will see you in 7 days.